will have to answer the questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. Write all your answers in the question booklet. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer all your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a police detective questioning Mrs. Jones about a crime. Look at questions 1 to 5 on the form now. You'll see that an example has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this question will be repeated.
Hi, I'm Detective Smith. I can see you are upset, but I must ask you a few questions about the robbery.
Yes, I understand. I'll try to control myself. It was so sudden.
Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. First, you have another chance to look at questions 1 to 5. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hi, I'm Detective Smith. I can see you are upset, but I must ask you a few questions about the robbery.
Yes, I understand. I'll try to control myself. It was so sudden.
I understand. Why don't we sit down and get a cup of tea?
Yes, thank you. It's okay. I'm a bit better now.
Good. These things can be very disturbing, but we'll take our time. First, I need a few particulars. Let me see. Today is January 7. Now, may I have your name?
Yes, Mrs. Mary Susan Jones.
Thank you. Age?
38.
And your home address, Mrs. Jones?
Yes, it's 39 Rose Garden Terrace.
Telephone numbers?
I only have a home number, 4834-6290.
Okay.
I only came out to buy some milk. I never dreamed...
Yes. Now, try to relax. What time did you come into the shop, Mrs. Jones?
It was exactly 11:15. I looked at my watch just before coming into the shop. I was worried I might not get home in time to make my husband's lunch.
Look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to more of the conversation between the police officer and Mrs. Jones, and answer questions 6 to 10.
And before you entered the shop, can you remember seeing anything unusual?
No, but as soon as I came in, this man walked out very quickly, nearly pushed me over. Then I saw poor Williams, the owner. I'm so glad he's not badly hurt.
No, just a bump on the head. Now, this man you saw, could you say how tall he was?
Well, I only came up to his shoulder, and I'm 5'4", so he must be about, I don't know, 6 feet.
And you're not wearing high-heeled shoes? So yes, that's about right. But we have to use the metric system now, so that makes him about 180 centimeters. Did you see his face?
Not really. I didn't look up. I was so annoyed. But I do know he was wearing a black hat. I saw it as he was walking out of the door. One of those things cowboys wear.
Did you notice what color hair he had?
I didn't really see it, what with his hat, and me trying to keep my balance.
What about the rest of his clothes?
He had a jacket on. I think it was dark blue. No, gray. Oh dear. I can't really say for sure. It all happened so quickly. Oh, but I do know he was wearing those big basketball shoes, red and white ones, like so many young men wear nowadays.
What about his trousers?
His trousers. Gray? Oh dear. I can't really say. I just know they were dark.
Was he fat, thin, average?
Very thin, skinny.
That's very useful information, Mrs. Jones. With a bit of luck, he's still around, but I expect he's got off the streets by now.
I do hope you catch him. It's terrible.
That is the end of section 1. You now have some time to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You're going to hear an introduction to Big Town University's resources by the Head of Student Services. First, look at questions 11 to 15. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 15.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here, and welcome to Big Town University. My name is Robert Black, and I'm the head of Student Services. Today it's my pleasure to introduce you to our university's many resources, especially those that are concerned with student welfare, rather than academic resources and research facilities. So I'll start with my department, Student Services. Our offices are all in the Students' Union building, which I'm sure you have already discovered, because that's where the student bar and cafeteria are. Basically, our job is to help you stay well, mentally and physically. Then you can better enjoy your life here, and even study sometimes. To do this, we offer a variety of services. One is our student counseling service. For many of you, it's the first time you've away from home. This can take a while to adjust to for some people, and some of you will fall in love, and then your girlfriend or boyfriend will run off with your best friend. Some people look at this philosophically and say, who cares, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and then get on with life. But a few will think it's the end of the world and get depressed. Then there's the pressure of your schoolwork, which usually affects not the less clever or the most hard-working students, but those who don't manage their time properly and leave everything to the last minute. So, for these and various other reasons, some people find themselves in a depression, severe clinical depression in the worst cases. Now, it's very common for people suffering from depression to be reluctant to seek professional help. I must stress, if you find yourself in a depression that doesn't get better simply by talking it over with good friends or your parents, please come to see one of our professional counselors. They have a lot of experience in helping people get through depressions. As with all our offices, they are open during normal office hours. That's 9 to 5. But in cases of emergency, one of them is on call 24 hours a day. You can see the Student Services emergency number on the first page of your student handbook.
Now look at questions 17 to 20. As the talk continues, answer questions 17 to 20.
Well, I do hope my talking about depression hasn't made any of you feel depressed. Another one of our services is the Student Housing Office. I won't say much about this because most of you will have already dealt with the office, either to arrange accommodation in a student residence or to help you find somewhere to live off campus. We have a database of off-campus housing that is updated almost daily, so if any of you are still looking, then please drop in. Now, what about fun? As you can read in the handbook, the Students' Union has dozens of clubs. Chess club, Chinese club, French Club, Choir, Conservative Club, Liberal Club, the Green Club, which works very closely with the University Maintenance Department, as well as other environmental groups. And for those of you who like mountains, there's a climbing club. Well, it would take me all day to list all of our clubs and societies, and of course all the sports teams. But I do recommend that you join one or two of them. It's a great way for new students to make new friends. Mentioning sports, our brand new fitness center opened last week, and the indoor swimming pool has just been renovated. They are open from 6 a.m. to 11 at night, 7 days a week, except for holidays like Christmas and the New Year. Of course, they are free of charge for students. Just show your student card. I really must recommend that you check out the new fitness center. It's got all the very latest in high-tech strength training machines, free weights room, everything you'd expect for over $25 million. Okay, we've covered counseling, housing, clubs, sports, keeping fit. What else should I mention? Oh, yes. If you're doing all these sports, climbing mountains and things, you might need to go to our sports medicine clinic. It's in the Student Health Center, which is conveniently located between the fitness center and the athletics stadium, not the football stadium. People play games and exercise 7 days a week, so the clinic is open 7 days a week, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The regular medical services in the Student Health Center are open from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., although there's always a nurse on duty for emergencies. Treatment is free only if you have registered with the provincial health plan, so make sure you take your health plan card with you if you have to see the doctor. Well, I think I've covered enough for now. I won't talk about the library or the teaching facilities, because you'll soon learn everything you need to learn when classes start on Monday. Thank you, and good luck to you.
That is the end of Section 2. You now have some time to check your answers. To Section 3. Section 3. You're going to hear a conversation between Dick and Sue, who are two college students. They are talking about the history of flight. First, listen to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 21 to 25. You now have some time to read questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Sue. Wow, this is great. The Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. I'm really looking forward to doing this project on the Wright brothers.
Me too. My dad was an Air Force pilot, always talking about the Wright brothers. If they hadn't invented the airplane, my dad might not have had a job.
Okay, let's look at the questionnaire.
Where shall we start?
The stuff on the Wright brothers starts over there. Okay, first questions.
First names, Wilbur and Orville. Everyone knows that. Then when and where they were born. Oh, and died.
Let's see. Wilbur, the third son, was born on a farm in Indiana on April the 16th, 1867, and died of typhus in 1912. Pretty young, eh? Oh, and in 1965, he was selected for the Hall of Fame for Great Americans. Make a note of that.
Okay. And what about Orville?
Here we are, born in Dayton, Ohio in 1871, died 1948. Doesn't say why or where. We'll find out later. What's next?
What got them interested in flying?
As the conversation continues, please answer questions 26 to 30. You now have some time to read questions 26 to 30.
It says here that their dad used to buy them lots of toys, and one was like a helicopter. And it seems that this toy helicopter first got them interested in the idea. Also, they read about this German guy who made himself a pair of large wings and managed to glide. Then they started to read everything they could get their hands on about flying and began building a plane in 1900. Next.
Their first jobs?
They started a printing shop and also a bicycle shop. I guess they both needed some knowledge of mechanics. It helps if you want to make the world's first airplane.
I suppose so. Anything else?
Yeah.
OK, and now the big question. When did they first fly their airplane?
Well, they made a glider and flew it in 1902. But the one that made them famous was, I'll read it to you, the first ever heavier-than-air manned-powered flight in 1903.
Got the exact date there?
No, just the year. We can easily find it later. Hey, but listen to this. Government bureaucrats thought they were crazy, and some engineers thought that if two bicycle mechanics could build a successful airplane, they could do it too.
Hey, you write down the answers now. Let me have a read. Here's the day they first tried to fly it. Monday, December the 14th, 1903. They tossed a coin and decided that Wilbur would take the first turn as pilot. And the plane weighed 600 pounds. He started off, but turned the rudder too sharply, and the left wing hit the hillside. So they repaired it, and Orville tried again on Thursday, December the 17th, 1903.
So, that was the big day.
Yeah. The flight wasn't much, 12 seconds, 120 feet. I'll read what it says. But it was the first controlled, sustained flight in a heavier-than-air craft, one of the great moments of the century. And on their third flight that day, Wilbur flew 852 feet in 59 seconds.
OK, time for a coffee.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. You're going to hear a talk about ecological functions of forests. You now have some time to read questions 31 to 40.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to say how happy I am to have this opportunity to address this committee and hopefully contribute to our country's policy in respect to the importation and use of wood and wood products. I will start with a brief introduction to the current situation of the world's forests, and then give you an overview of the various services that forests provide. By services, I mean benefits to people, as well as wildlife. Until recent years, these services have been greatly undervalued. The rate of deforestation worldwide is astounding. The Rainforest Action Network estimated in 1999 that 2.4 acres, that's 1 hectare, about the size of 2 football fields, was being lost not every day or every hour, but every second. An area larger than New York City every day. Or 31 million hectares a year, an area larger than Poland. Despite the efforts of environmental groups and concerned people all over the world, the rate of deforestation has increased in recent years. The results of global deforestation are far-reaching. It means the loss of habitat for numerous species of plants and animals. It is a major factor in the warnings from scientists worldwide that, if mankind does not change how we treat our planet, 50% of species could be extinct by the middle of this century. I am sure you all know what this loss of biodiversity would mean for us humans. The loss of genetic resources would seriously threaten our food security. For example, To maintain resistance to pests and diseases, our major cereal crops, rice, corn, and wheat, need to have genes introduced from wild relatives every few years. And who knows what new medicines we would be losing, especially with the destruction of tropical forests, which, like coral reefs and wetlands, are especially rich in biodiversity. And then there's global warming, a problem that threatens the very existence of civilization, but one which, with the exception of some northern European countries, is not treated with the urgency it deserves. Forests are important carbon sinks, taking in atmospheric carbon dioxide and storing it in their wood and the soil. Moreover, they are mostly destroyed by logging and fire. Burning releases carbon dioxide, and decaying vegetation releases methane into the atmosphere. These are both major greenhouse gases. It is estimated that 1/3 of the increasing levels of carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere come from deforestation. In addition, healthy forests and the soil under them that they protect store water when it rains and slowly release it during dry seasons. Take away the trees and you have floods in the rainy season and drought in the dry season. We have seen more and more of this in recent years in Haiti, Indonesia, China. Look at this year's devastating floods in Bangladesh due to rapid deforestation in the Himalayas and many other countries. I have mentioned protecting the soil. Most of the landslides that killed hundreds of people and destroyed thousands of houses during the hurricane that hit Haiti this year would probably not have happened if virtually all of Haiti's forests had not been cut down for fuel. Another important ecological function of forests is their role in the hydrological cycle. Rain falls. Some of the water moves through the soil to feed streams and rivers. The rest evaporates into the air, providing moisture for clouds and rain hundreds of kilometers downwind. Break this cycle and the people downwind have less rain for agriculture and other uses, and the people downstream face a greater risk of floods. This effect is now seen very clearly in the Amazon, Central Africa, and elsewhere. And we must not forget coral. Coral reefs are essential habitat for countless thousands of fish and other marine species. Over 50% of these important parts, important economically, not just beautiful things to look at, of the marine ecosystem are now damaged. The main reasons are warmer seawater, chemical pollution, and dynamite fishing, but eroded soil from deforested land that runs into the sea is another. Corals need clean water to survive. Without this, they die. So does the marine life that depends on them, and the fishermen end up with no fish and no income. And we must not forget the many millions of people who depend on healthy forests for their living. Many of these people, tribes in the Amazon, for example, have lived in harmony with the forests for thousands of years. When their jungle home is destroyed, they all too often end up as marginal people in the slums of big cities. And for us rich people, the forest environment provides us with wonderful opportunities for ecotourism, hiking, camping, bird watching, and other outdoor activities. Before we stop for coffee, I would say just one more thing. Many studies by environmental economists show that the free ecological services provided by a tree in an intact forest, reliable water supply, climate moderation, etc., are worth 20 to several hundred times as much as the wood when it is cut down for timber.
That is the end of section 4. You now have some time to check your answers.